Well, it may be international break in the Premier League and the Championship, but there is plenty going on in League One this weekend and in the League One promotion picture at large. Yes, we may have a runaway leader, but look, we got a damn good shootout for second, which might involve more than two teams. Hear me out on that one. And a pretty stacked potential playoff for. Get involved down in the comments. We are trying to answer the question, who is going up from League One? And yeah, go figure. I've got a bit of a tap in and open goal to start this one. Yeah, obviously Birmingham are going up. We can see there that they are 12 points clear with a game in hand as things stand. So because I know there's loads of Birmingham fans out there and they're all going to be watching next season, fingers crossed, when they're up in the Championship, let's bring the conversation a little bit forward. Maybe tell me when Birmingham are going up, how many points Birmingham are going to score. We'll get to that in a second. And what next as well? What needs to be done in the summer for Birmingham to continue winning momentum? I know there's a lovely case study from Ipswich a couple of seasons ago, and I'm sure the Blues fans have been looking at that. Let's just have a little delve into the points. So 2 points per game is the standard for an automatic promotion team. If we add that on, Blues have got 10 to play rather than the 9 that most of the sides have. They're going to land at 103. The points projection for their, I think they're like 2.3 or something, lands them at 106. They do have the entire bottom 5 to play, and their highest remaining opponent as things stand in the current league table is Barnsley in 10th. So look, I don't think Chris Davis is going to be preoccupied with points records and whatnot. I'm sure it'd be lovely for the Blues fans to see a 100-point season, but come on, Birmingham fans, if you can go and win the Pizza Cup at Wembley against Peterborough, even if you score 99 points and win League One, that is job done, isn't it, for Knighthead and Birmingham and Chris Davies. Let me know your thoughts on Blues, who are pretty certain to win the division and go up at some point around Easter, we would imagine. Let's move on and really fire the comments up over this one to the race for second place. So what we're going to do, we're going to, just for the next few minutes, we'll frame this as it is Wycombe versus Wrexham, okay? But anyone who's been following League One knows that Charlton are on an absolute bloody tear, and 5 points may be possible. We'll get to Charlton in a minute. Let's assume it's just going to be Wycombe versus Wrexham, which is a great battle, which a lot of people are going to say plucky Wycombe against Hollywood Wrexham. They may not be aware of who Wycombe's owners have been for the past year or so. I think the Wycombe owner has probably quite a lot more money than the Wrexham ownership. So, yeah, that's where we are in League One. We've got Knighthead at Birmingham, don't we? We've got Hollywood at Wrexham, and we have, what is he, Georgian, Russian, Kazakh? I don't know. Some billionaire owns Wycombe, and yeah, don't assume that they're not without resources themselves. They've been fantastic, both of these teams. They're at 71, so they're not quite at the 2 points per game standard that we kind of push for automatic promotion. Very, very good nonetheless, and you can't separate these two. As I say, tied on 71, and yes, Wrexham are 8 points better than Wycombe in home games, but Wycombe, go figure, if you're thinking ahead, are 8 points better in away games. So there's that 5 point gap down to fourth. We'll address that when we talk to Charlton. Now, let me just put my cards on the table. I like Wrexham to finish ahead of Wycombe purely based on the fixtures and maybe a little bit. Are there a few more big game players in that squad? Remember, Wrexham have picked up plenty of very experienced players, you know, who've played plenty in the Championship. They may not be able to do 46 games there and start anymore, but there's a lot of get over the line game savvy, which is very much needed in the final rounds. Just win. You're not going to play well. It's going to be a nightmare. You might be playing well. I will raise this straight away. Everyone tells me at the end of every season, you don't want to be playing teams down at the bottom of the table. I don't know whether that applies in League One this season because they are adrift, that bottom four, 6 point gap between Burton and Bristol Rovers. So, I don't know. maybe there might be a few more dead rubbers than that theory people love to throw out, that it's actually harder to play someone fighting for survival than it is to face someone in the middle on the beach. Does that really count when the bottom four are adrift? I'm not sure it does. So look, Wycombe face, and they face them in this order: Reading, Huddersfield, Bolton, Charlton, Orient, and Stockport. That is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And they may be third at some points during this run-in. So that is literally the 5 hardest games that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 6 hardest games that they can get if they're third, given that they've already played Birmingham and Wrexham twice, are those 6 games. So they don't have an easy run at all. Wrexham, on the other hand, they face Stockport next, and they face Charlton. We'll get to Charlton in round 45. Other than that, it is 11th, Blackpool, or lower as things stand in the current league table. So, whether you place any credence on the league table and the average positions and the opponent level or not is up to you. It is an objective fact, though, that Wycombe's fixtures, if you do believe the league table, predicts harder fixtures, Wycombe's fixtures are harder then in that instance than Wrexham's. In the 12-game table, we can't even separate them either, looking for recent form. I know maybe in that last 6 it goes with Wrexham and the previous 6 it goes with Wycombe, but 12-game tables, which I like as a kind of quarter-season barometer as well, they're 7th and 8th, which again feeds into the Charlton conversation, and they're separated by goal difference. So, really, really hard one to separate those two. If you believe that it's a straight fight between those two for second and Charlton or even Stockport aren't involved, then I would side with Wrexham based on Wycombe's fixtures being more difficult. But they could plough through and win all of them. Wrexham could choke. You never know. And we've got to talk about Charlton because, yes, you can see right there, 5-point gap would kind of intimate. Maybe in a relegation race, you could get some mad 3 wins in 4 and that would be enough. In a promotion race, you still think, even at worst, that Wrexham and Wycombe are going to be 1.6, 1.7 points per game, which does make that hard to make up. But if anyone can do it in their current form, Charlton and Nathan Jones. We'll talk about managers as we go, because who we got? Davies, Dodds, Parkinson, okay, has got good League One experience. Nathan Jones left Luton right at the top of League One, didn't he, when he went off to do the Stoke job? He knows his way around this division as well. Certainly more so. We'll talk about some novice managers. I can see Stephen Schumacher lurking in there as well. But maybe he's a little bit far back in terms of that direct comparison. So, since the 21st of December, Charlton have 42 points in 18 games. That is absolutely savage. And that is even more points than the absurd freak show that is Birmingham City since that time. I think they've played the same amount of games. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyone who does anything better than Birmingham this season needs to be praised in some way. Right, what I've done for you guys, I have fed the 12 game points per game into the final 8 games of the season. So I've taken the last 12 average for Wycombe, Wrexham and Charlton, and that does land us Wrexham 85.94, Wycombe 85.94. Obviously they have the same points per game. Charlton's would be 87.75. It's just a numbers exercise. I'm not saying that will happen, and it's always maybe a little bit low information to take a really amazing run from somebody and compare that to a not so great run from somebody else. But that is the reality we live in, that if the next 9 games play out in the same way, exactly the same way, by the way, that the past 12 games have done so, and that would be one hell of a run to the line for Charlton. That would be, what are we coming up with that? So 87 is another 21 points. That would be 63 points in 27 games. Sorry, I'm doing the maths on the hoof here, and it's never been my strong suit. And that does sometimes worry me, actually. And I've often said this when people say to me, Ben, we're on such a good run. You can't count us out here. And I'm like, yeah, you are on an amazing run. But how many teams go from 42 points in 18 games to 63 points in 27 games? Those runs tend to end at certain points. And there's a reason, no one kind of goes above, 10, 12 consecutive wins and half a season of absurd, ludicrous point scoring like that. But yeah, it would be 1.81 points differential in Charlton's favour. And by the way, if this does hot up, and say, for example, we get a slight regression from Wycombe and Wrexham at the same time, and Charlton improve and catch up, round 45, Wrexham versus Charlton. How about that, guys? I'm sure Sky Sports will be having that one for their TV matchup, and plenty of viewers will be watching in America, knowing the love for Wrexham over there now as well. Absolutely fascinating. Can Charlton just keep going? Then they may not be in the playoff race. They may, and it's an outside chance, I get it, be in the automatic race. Get your thoughts in on the second place that we know first is going to Birmingham. I think it's probably down to 2, but is it down to 3? And how seriously do you countenance Charlton as a potential player in this story? Let's quickly talk about the playoffs, because I've already gone longer than I wanted to for this one. Stockport are currently in 5th, and they're not on quite the run that Charlton are, and they're 6 points off. So forgive me if I don't talk about Stockport as an automatic challenger. And let me just give you a little history lesson. Over the past 4 seasons, Stockport finished 3rd, lost in the playoffs, and then won the National League. Then they finished 4th, lost in the playoffs, and then won League 2. They are currently in the playoff positions in League 1. So you can see where I'm going with this. Does history say that Stockport are going to lose in the playoffs and then win League 1 next season? Who's coming down potentially from the Championship? We don't know. Plymouth? Luton, potentially. Cardiff, Derby down there. Stoke, Hull. Yeah. You may get a massive whale, mightn't you, if particularly Luton or Derby or Stoke or someone drops down. Unlikely. Plymouth guaranteed to bounce back anyway. It might be all right, League One next season, if you get Birmingham and Wrexham potentially out of the way, or Wycombe, given we think the wealth there. So, Stockport, good side, better at home than away. Low margin side, aren't they? If Stockport are winning a game, you think it might be 1-0 and it might be a home win or something like that. So, I don't know. Huddersfield are 6th, and all I've written down for Huddersfield is wild card, no manager, good 11, odd owner. I'm not sure the odd owner is a factor now. Yes, he is a factor because he's got to bring another manager in. And this is the owner that's fallen out with Neil Warnock, hired Mark Fotheringham and Andre Brightonwriter. And then you'd think Mike Duff would be the perfect guy for a League One promotion, sort of challenge with a side that's just come out of the Championship. But that hasn't worked out as well. So what the hell is he going to do next? So look, I'll take that back. Maybe the owner is a factor, but we got a huge no manager battle. I think they won 5-1 last time out. I've got a possible recollection of that. So God knows what Huddersfield could do. And who's being linked? David Wagner with a possible return. Paul Warne. Wayne Rooney's on there. Of course he is. Anyway. Bolton, we mentioned Stephen Schumacher earlier, do have a master of League One a couple of seasons ago. Is anything in League One more impressive than Plymouth beating Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday and scoring 101 points? I don't think it is, because I was there as a watching Ipswich fan thinking, my God, how is Stephen Schumacher and Plymouth just winding this out week after week? They were incredible. But that was a club with upward momentum, very well run. And, he had a run at it, didn't he? Whereas he's only been in at Bolton for a cup of tea. And he did have 5 wins in 6 since the start of February. Or when did he come in? Yeah, I think there's one game in February, possibly after that. Back-to-back defeats, though, recently. Although what we'll say about Bolton in comparison to Plymouth is upward trajectory and well run. It has been the case under Iain Everett there, who I did think would get Bolton out of League One, to be honest. So, it hasn't worked out. Shuey is in there. Could he win the playoffs? Of course he could. But speaking of Wales, there might be one in there because you're going to get possibly, well, you're going to get 2 of Wrexham, Wycombe and Charlton in there. So the playoffs might be quite hard for whoever finishes 6th, and that might be the peak of Bolton's ambitions this season. I want to talk quickly about Reading, and actually I'll talk about Leyton Orient, who I haven't included in that graphic there. Reading, I don't really think they're going to get in the playoffs. By God, would their fans deserve it, wouldn't they? They are 59, so they're only a couple of points off it. They've had a horrible time. Noel Hunt's doing lovely. They're 10 undefeated. Do draw a lot, though. 6 draws in those 10 games. So flip that over, and they're only 4 wins in 10. Can I see them getting through? They're quite low margin. I don't think they will. So I'll say good luck to the Reading fans who deserve it more than anyone probably in English football to have a good season. Get your virtue suffering stories in the comments if you disagree with that. But I don't think they'll get in. I think it's probably more likely than that Leyton Orient would get in, who are actually 3 points back. But the thing with Leyton Orient is they are the streakiest team in the known universe, aren't they? I think they lost 5 on the trot before winning last time out. And prior to that, they were literally the best team in League One. They were probably the best team in England. They were just winning over and over and over and over again. So, would I be surprised if Leyton Orient ended up finishing 12th? No. Would I be surprised if they finished 6th and had another winning streak going into the end of the season? No. So that would be my take on the playoffs quickly. That I think Stockport will definitely be in there. Flip a coin for Bolton and Huddersfield. I'm not sure about Reading, and you could get a weird Leyton Orient streak again, and then Barnsley and Blackpool and whatnot are too far back, in my humble opinion. There you go. That is my take on League One promotion. And if you're not familiar with the great Matt SB, wonderful YouTuber with Coventry fan and Championship and Premier League predictions with Sophie over there, I feature on Matt's channel each and every round, each and every week as well, looking at League One and doing predictions over there. So make sure you go and give Matt a subscription and check out more of my thoughts on League One over there. And stick with the channel if you dare. Click over there. Yesterday we did it again. Our regular international break championship manager rankings. Even if you think I talk a load of crap, you have to read the comments in this one. They go off the hook, unhinged. The worst thing you can do in life is say that one team's manager is better than the other team's manager in your rankings. Go and give it a look. I promise, get your popcorn out as well and get your views in on League One promotion.